or something, they'd cut your hair and then give you a one-way ticket out of town.
Where's the aspect?
This is the police that do this. And then the cowboys are a little rougher. Right, you know. And they, you know, even though they look down upon long hairs, they still put the long hairs above the Indians. You know.
The policy is still the only good Indian is a dead Indian.
That's right. I mean, how can you learn, you know, live in a society like that? You can't. That's how come we want to be separated from it. Then we'll be able to enjoy ourselves because we had a good life before the white man came. We didn't work a job. We didn't have to. We went out and we were the great. You know, Mother Earth provided for us. That's why we respect her. That's why we walk on her with a little grace. You know, because she's the only thing. She put everything that's around here. She put it up. And when it comes time, she's going to take everything down. And I hate the bad part is I don't want to be around when it happens. I don't want to be stuck here in the city when she decides to say that's it.
Wash it down.
That's right. I'd like to be out in the country where I know I'm safe. Along, you know, like we tried when we tried to stop the pine net chaining. They said, well, you go over here to the Bureau of Land Management and they can tell you what to do. We went to the Bureau of Land Management and said, well, we can't help you. You'll have to go to the federal government and they'll help you. We went to the federal government. Well, we can't go there because you'll have to go to some other organization. And we ended up going in circles. That's all you end up doing. When we threw the white hunters off the reservation, we called the FBI, we called the police, we called the state highway patrolman, we called all these people, we called the state district attorney, we called all these people, and he says, well, there's nothing we can do. We can't help you. So we went out there and threw them off at gunpoint. Now, if I'd have went on one of those white ranchers' ranch and refused to get off his land, how fast do you think I'd have been in jail? In less than 45 minutes, they'd have had me in the county jail. Just like that. That's the thing. We're dealing with two kinds of laws. We're dealing with the people's law and we're dealing with the business law. And they don't mix. If you're part of the people, you have no rights whatsoever. You're not important because you're only there to provide energy to make the big businesses grow. You're there to take and feed these people. You're just part of a machine. That's it. You're not anything. And that's how come it's so hard to get along in the cities because people have lost respect. You know, when you're living in the country and living close to nature, you have respect for the ground because it's providing for you. But when you live in big businesses, and you know, in the big places, and you have big businesses and stuff like this, they lose respect for the ground. You know, they lose respect for the trees. And these are the things that provided for it, you know, in the first place. And they've lost respect for it. And in losing respect for Mother Earth, you lose respect for yourself. And in losing respect for yourself, you lose respect for fellow man. All the plants, the animals, no matter what they look like, you lose respect for life, and that's it. You're gone. You know, then there's nothing to do. So then you have to come along again and teach yourself respect. You have to teach respect for yourself and for your fellow man, so that you can start to clean this up a little bit. Stop what's going on. I mean, it's hard living in a world that's polluted. I mean, now even up in Nevada, there's pollution up there now. As far away from Sacramento and places like that, Reno, which is starting to get polluted. Like I used to be able to go out in the mountains and I could look for 50 miles in any direction and it was a clear day and I could see nothing but mountains. I can't do that anymore. I look around and I can see the smog and stuff coming in. It's almost as if it's pushed me to the last place. So now I'm fighting for survival. It's not a matter of fighting for my lands or anything, it's for survival now. We've got to do it. They were taught a lot of things by the Indians, but they refused to acknowledge that the Indian taught them. They got a lot of their medicines, the finest medicines they've gotten from it. They refused to acknowledge that they got it from the Indian. And look what they did to tobacco. The Indians offered tobacco to the white men as something that was spiritual. It was sacred to them. So what did they do? They took it and they commercialized it. And now you get cancer from smoking tobacco. That's because they commercialized it. But if you go back to the original tobacco, the Indian tobacco that you pick up off the ground, you know, and smoke it that way, it's good for you. You don't get cancer from it. That's everything they've done with the Indian thing. They've commercialized, and everything they've done with any part of civilization they've taken. You know, like the Americans, society is not a society or a culture. It's taken from every part of the world, a little bit here and a little bit there, and it's added, and then they call it United States culture. You know, that's what we've come up with. You know, and they come up with nothing. Nothing except a cancer that's growing. With up in Nevada right now is a group of 9 young white kids, my age, went out and beat to death an Indian, an old Indian man. They beat him to death, stabbed him and everything. They caught all 9 of those young white kids and they spent at the most 2 weeks in jail. 2 weeks in a county jail and they were let out free. That's right. I was beat
How else?
with an axe handle and a shotgun and a few other things one night.
You should be known just like
I filed charges against the guy that did it. He owns a big apartment housing. He got a $50 fine. And they told me that an axe handle was not a deadly weapon, even though they put 40 stitches in one guy's head. They almost killed him. It wasn't a deadly weapon. Now, if I would have done that, that's right. And the guy said in front of the police, the guy that beat me, in front of the police says, I'll kill every goddamn Indian and every goddamn hippie.
It's got to.
Right in front
If
of
it
the police.
doesn't change, it's going to
And I
die.
You know, that's what we're living in.
It's going
We're
to
living
die
a
in
society
10,
that's so sick
15
that it's
years
beginning
if it
to
doesn't change
devour
today.
its own people.
Individually, for everybody, and collectively as a world.
They don't know how to control
It's going
it.
to
And
die.
It's going to eat them up, man. It's going to eat us up too, and that's the bad part about it, because I don't want to be involved in it.